Disclaimer, the comments made in this video are intended for entertainment purposes only and are not intended to offend anyone. Welcome to the rebellion against nonsense, where logic, rules, and woke delusions get exposed like a toddler hiding behind a curtain. Let's watch the meltdown in glorious HD.
Statistically, it is true that Asians, right, on average, make more money, better test scores, get into better colleges, all that stuff. I think the question is, why is that? And I don't know, model minority, whatever that label wants to mean.
That's actually a myth because we cannot be...
Well, no, listen. Well, let me finish my point. We need to observe what makes people successful and unsuccessful. And I think when you look at trends that are generally true in the Asian community, not of everyone, but are generally true, usually you have families that are sticking together. You have people are taught to work hard in school, not get into trouble. I think that translates to why Asians en masse are successful. And I don't think you have to be Asian or white for that matter to not have kids out of wedlock, not, you know, commit crime, not cause trouble or whatever it is. It's just a matter of like, well, common sense, that's what makes people successful. And if that's so-called assimilation, having a nuclear family, buying a house, going to school, whatever it is, then yeah, okay, call me a pro-assimilation then.
I think there's a difference between assimilation and erasure.
Yes.
This is what happens when basic values like family and hard work are treated like offensive opinions.
I'm gonna keep posting about this all day because this is bullshit. I went and logged into my federal loan account and this is what I found. I graduated in 2011 with $46,000 in student loan debt. My loan debt is now almost $90,000. In that time, I've been a social worker that has made income-based repayments on my loan for years, and that shit has almost doubled. You wanna know why people are pissed off about their student loans? It's not because we can't get anyone else to pay them for us. It is because you have set it up where we can never pay them off ourselves. And then you sit here and tell us into our faces that we are lazy, this is somehow our fault, while cheering on banks and auto industries and Elon Musk getting subsidies of millions of dollars a day. Anyone who still doesn't see that this is rigged against us can get...
It's been 14 years. You're a social worker. You could pay it off if you want to.
I know what to do. Bone Bear, can I ask you a big favor? Hi, little Bone Bear. Bone Ball over by the ferry has been being really rude. And I was wondering if you might tonight come on by and maybe just eat Bone Ball. Just eat him. Her, sorry. I don't remember. What are Bone Ball's pronouns? I know mine. What are your...
You know that sound from The Office? What the hell is that? Yeah, exactly.
Actually, I have a trans kid, okay? And like my 7-year-old son is like in the middle like of medically transitioning, and like, you know, I live in New York, so it's a friendly state, and it's an accepting state, and it's a sanctuary state for trans kids. But now that Donald Trump and JD Vance are coming in, like, they're gonna like stop my kid from getting the hormones that like she needs to medically transition. My kid's been exposed to a very like progressive learning environment, and a lot of the stuff that my son Carl watches on television, it really shows like the power of inclusion, the power of love, the power of like accepting like all people. That kind of helped my son Carl realize that like she's really a girl, and like her name is Carla, and now like Trump and JD Vance are gonna stop my kid from like taking the hormones that she needs to be the woman that I know she wants to be. Like, it is that.
I like how he started by calling his kid a son. That's what he is. What's with that mask? BLM plus transgenderism. Double the brain rot.
Goodness, what has brought me the most joy? The most joy. It's, you know, getting out of the shower and the towels around your waist and you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're just like, there I am. I'm not having all these little moments that used to be just being in a t-shirt. It's touch my chest and feel comfortable in my body for probably the first time.
Looks like a mental breakdown and regret to me, but what do I know?
I will use my voice in the most uplifting way possible.
It's true. No, it's true.
And do everything in my power to educate my community.
What is this? What stupidity is this? They're holding their hands up like they're in praise to God.
They're praising the woke ideology.
This is where the Bible warns of idolatry and taking anything before God and making it a God. And they are making this ideology their God.
They'll have no connection to any greater spiritual being. Nothing.
Oh, it's a synchronized cult chant when your only comeback is to echo the question like a broken NPC. Society's officially hit reverse.
Hang on one second, everyone. Hang on one second. Just for the record, should trans women be allowed to be put into women's prisons?
I have no understanding on the issue, and I don't want to make a comment.
Fantastic. And yet you think that trans women athletes should be allowed to compete against biological women?
Yes, I do think that, yeah.
And you see no inconsistency in these positions?
Piers basically lobbed a softball, and instead of dodging it, the woke narrative tripped over its own contradictions.
Always listen to people of color. Oh, hey, I'm a person of color, and I think modern anti-racist philosophy is a pseudo-religious cult that creates a false victimhood narrative, renders us powerless so that activists like you can save us and feel good about themselves. Not you, you're racist! Shut up! Oh, so you only listen to people of color that say exactly what you want them to say. I'm doing this for your benefit. I'm protecting you. Hey, have you ever had an emotionally abusive boyfriend? Yes? He would get angry every time I said or did something he didn't like. He made me feel completely worthless, and he justified his behavior by saying he loved me and was trying to protect me, but it was all just for his validation. And the really sad thing about emotional abusers is that consciously they really feel like they're showing love and being protective, but they're actually just seeking to control the other person or people of color.
This sketch might have been filmed in 2015, but it reads like a live broadcast from 2025.
I'm afraid to argue with woke people because I look like this and I don't know who's gonna back me up. I'm on board with 95% of it. They're like, Black Lives Matter. I'm like, yeah. They're like, future is female, stop Asian hate. I'm like, absolutely. They're like, all white men are scum. And I'm like, hey there. That last part, that hurt my feelings when you said that. And honestly, it's a little hypocritical given that and then I feel a warm hand on my shoulder and I turn around and there's just a skinhead smiling at me. I hear you, brother. No one has it harder than the white man. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm back. Listen, I don't want you to hate me for being white, but I don't want you to like me for being white. Why are these the only two options? Well, if I have to pick a side, I'm gonna go with you guys because at least your heart is in the right place. I'm just kidding. It's because you control all of film and television. That's why I'm over here. But when you find my old tweets, I'll be calling you. Shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you can still comfortably...
Haha. Midwest. The line, I don't want you to hate me for being white, but I don't want you to like me for it either, might be the most balanced take we've heard all decade.
You know what woke means? It means you're a loser. Everything woke. Everything woke. It's true. Everything woke turns to okay?
Omiji Lol, an all-time great explanation.
Ma'am, don't assume my gender. Yeah, don't do that. Don't assume your gender? What are your pronouns then? They and Z and princess. Princess?
What? Princess? No way.
You can be racist against certain groups. And yes, you might be a sellout. You might be whatever.
Oh my God.
Thank you. I'm glad that I know that if I don't agree with you, I'm a sellout and I'm not good enough for my Latinos and I'm not good enough for my father, for my grandfather that escaped Cuba. Thank you.
Labeling someone as racist should be based on clear actions or beliefs, not disagreement alone.
Feminist, and I don't
okay,
hate
so
men.
you are a self-described feminist. What is a woman?
Why do you want to know?
I'm infinitely curious.
What's a man?
You're looking at one.
Why do you think that that's important to you, what a man and a woman is?
So
Do you treat men and women differently?
Well, it depends in what context, though. Politically, no. Under the law, no. Should they be treated differently in societal customs and norms? Yes.
Why?
Like, we should open doors for women. We should honor and protect women.
I want to honor and protect you, man.
Okay, great.
Do you
Thank
not
you.
honor and
Women are
protected?
worthy of protection. Can you tell me what a woman is since you're a feminist?
You're saying these things because you're trying to get a gotcha.
You're
okay,
a feminist. Shouldn't you be able to tell me what a woman is?
I'm a feminist.
Isn't that probably
because
important to feminism? What is the woman that you're trying to advance and protect? Isn't that integral to? Is that the whole feminist project? The war
asking
against
what a woman is the only way that you can get a gotcha over everybody else. Why is it so important to you to define things in certain categories? How does that help your day-to-day life? Like
what other categories in the human species are there besides male and female?
Well, I just think that categorization is usually unhelpful when we're trying to improve society, right?
I have XY chromosomes.
Okay.
Can I give birth?
No, you can't.
Bingo. That's why categorization matters.
Oh no, sweetie, feminism isn't about making women equal to men. It's about the wild idea that everyone should get a fair shot regardless of what's in their biology.
What does it mean to be woke? Let's start by defining what woke is not. Woke is not anyone who is left-wing. Are all woke people left? Yes. Are all left people woke? No. Left politics and wokeism are synonymous, but they're not the same. This is a mistake that both left and right-wing people make. Young lefties do it because they've grown up in an environment where woke and left are used interchangeably. More ignorant right-wingers, very much the same thing, but used more as a buzzword to shut down critics of their arguments. Just look at how the right-wing media and senior Tories like Suella Braverman will call anyone who criticises them woke. The Cambridge Dictionary defines woke as anyone who is aware, especially of social problems such as racism and inequality. Oxford and Merriam-Webster define it very much the same way. I disagree with these definitions. Wokeness is more than social awareness. In fact, it's actually a lack of social awareness, particularly when it comes to interpersonal communication. Wokeness is often made obvious by a person's refusal to have respectful conversation and appreciate the diversity of opinions, which normally stems from woke people having massive egos and wanting to be seen as morally superior rather than actually wanting progressive policies that help people. Categorized by a narrow authoritarian and tribal viewpoint rather than looking at things universally. It's divisive, lazy, and plays into identity politics, thus it's actually the antithesis of left-wing politics, which is why traditionally left-wing academics like Slavoj Žižek and Suzanne Neiman criticize the state of the modern left for being woke. It's ideologically contradictory. Having spent 4 years at university around many woke circles, I can tell you this about woke people. They're naive, intolerant, and more concerned with one-upping you than they are bringing about progressive change. Despite how popular they might seem on social media and in university bubbles, they are not in the real world outside. Now, if you are also a Tory, aka you are not part of a tiny niche micro community in the left, drop a follow.
Ah yes, the word so profoundly meaningless it might as well have been invented during a group nap.
22 years old and I have about $100,000 worth of debt to my name. $55,000 of that debt is towards my car loan. So this is the car in all of its glory. It's a 2022 Ford Bronco. Love this car. The top comes off. You just love capitalism so much. Interest rate on my loan is about 10%. I have no idea what that means, nor do I care, honestly. I'm already in this hole. Might as well sit in it, you know? I was making a lot of money off the internet. I had a good credit score. I had a lot of monthly income, so I got approved for a large car loan, and I decided to buy this car. Do I look absolutely good driving this car? Yes, I do. But that is not the reason why I bought this car. I bought this car to look cool, to impress people, and that's simply not true. I bought this car because it's been my dream car forever, and I finally had the means to buy it. Was it my best financial decision? No, obviously not, but I'm definitely gonna be driving this car forever. I can see my kids learning how to drive in this car. The downside to this car though, I spend a lot of money on gas. Probably spend like $120, $130 every single week. I'm not getting rid of it. I already put so much money into the car that it does not make sense for me to sell it. If I did sell it, I would only sell it for less than what's remaining on my car loan. I know you guys hate to see a young girl drive a nice car, but at the end of the day, I bought this car all by myself with no co-signers, no help from my parents. You live and you learn, okay?
22 years old? Yeah, you're fried. Good luck with that.
What are you running away for? What was that about?
White people are inferior.
White people are inferior?
I did that because I wanted to call the police.
You throw food at my girlfriend who's white because white people are inferior?
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say to you. Call the police, it's fine. Are you going to keep following me?
Yeah, I'm going to keep following you.
And what are you going to do?
We'll find out where you work. Yeah, we'll. You're going to go viral.
Don't touch me. I don't want to be in handcuffs.
No, we'll stop. You should have kicked off there. We told you to stand on your line.
She also got fired from her job.
So y'all believe that anyone can be a woman just because they say so. So you know what? I'm a woman. I'm a trans woman. Yeah. Your identity is yours to shape as you like. Okay, I'm a trans woman now. Okay, cool. I love that for you. I'm she, her now. Great. Actually, I changed my mind. My pronouns are splort, spleet now. Yeah, valid. And you have to correct people when they misgender me. You have to go, excuse me, splorts pronouns are actually splort spleet. If that's what you want me to do for you, yeah, okay. Okay, so like I could just put the dress on now, huh? If you want. It's your body. Well, I'm gonna. Great, I'm proud of you. Well, do I look good? Am I pretty now? You're beautiful. You know, I was just joking about my pronouns being splort spleet. That's not what they are. Okay, well, when you know, let me know, please. So, like, y'all just accept people for who they are, even if that changes? Yeah, that's the idea.
This is laughable.
I'm here. I'm here. And I know you're scared. I know you don't know what to do. But I've got you and I won't leave you. And I love you and I'm so sorry that you're scared. But it's okay to feel. It's safe to feel. It's safe to cry. It's safe to move through it.
So who's gonna try this tonight?
I think that I would like to start a petition to call the United States of America the States of America. We're not united. The abbreviation will be SA, which I think is very appropriate for this place.
Whose annoying child is this?
Kindergartner is doing something normal, showing her privates to her classmates, and now she's kicked out of the Valentine's Day party when other boys have showed their private parts and they won't tell me if they're in trouble or not or what, or if they're kicked out. But my daughter is definitely kicked out of the Valentine's Day party. I was literally getting ready to get snacks together with my baby. It's hard enough to do anything. My daughter loves Valentine's Day. I'm pissed. I'm so mad. I have to go pick her up from school for this. They literally said we're gonna punish her because this is the second time she's done it. I've had talks with her. Her dad's had talks with her. My aunt, who's a teacher, has had talks with her. I was a nanny. Okay? It's just normal. Kids do it. Like, don't make her stay home from her Valentine's Day party. That's so mean.
Your daughter is 6 years old. No, it's not normal, and you're worrying about the wrong thing.
Well, today is my 1-year HRT anniversary, and I was going to spend it with myself. I'm just gonna have dinner with myself. But I just got a message, a text message, from my landlord, who told me that I will be homeless in 1 month again. So this is the third time in 1 year that I've been kicked out of my home. So I don't know, I'm just really sad about that. And also, isn't that awesome that I'm so sexy and I've only been on hormones for now? Whatever. Happy Friday, everybody. It's Fuck With Me Friday. So, like,
evicted 3 times in a year, and you don't think you might be the problem.
Who do you think you are?
I'm a male.
Maybe I think you're a woman.
No, legally I'm a male. It says on my driver's license that I'm a male.
What if I said I don't believe you?
It doesn't matter.
What gender do you think I am?
I would assume you're female.
So you're making assumptions.
Yes.
I identify as non-binary.
Respectfully, it doesn't matter.
It does matter.
What pronoun should I use?
You should use they, them pronouns.
What if I don't?
If you don't, I would consider that disrespectful, and that's actually an act of violence to intentionally misgender someone.
Here we come to the issue. You just said that's an act of violence. That means it's an actionable offense. That means it's a crime. We have no idea how many pronouns there are. We can never know how many pronouns there are. And to not use a proper pronoun is an act of violence against them. Did you ask my pronouns before you sat down?
No, I didn't ask your pronouns.
You just talked about me being privileged. You understand? No one goes around asking pronouns.
Ah yes, the classic game of Guess My Gender, where no matter what answer you give, you lose.
You just assume my gender? You said white man.
Okay, I see your point there.
How do you know I'm not a woman?
I see your point. I see your point.
You need to check your white privilege, your white female privilege.
Woke logic doing cartwheels again.
What is the most effective way that people can lose weight? In your experience as a doctor.
Right. One of the things...
Eat less food, do more exercise.
Pierce said the human body works a certain way, and the room acted like he committed war crimes with a salad.
Woke
Woke has one purpose, only one purpose: control. It is designed to divide people by race, by gender, by ethnicity, by religion, by vaccine status, and any other way that they can divide people into groups. Because why? Then you can justify having a government to control all those groups. No more woke. We need...
Pierre out here treating woke like a faulty app. Delete, reinstall freedom.
And because it's not true, and it makes people hate each other. Do you understand what I'm saying?
It is a plan that would potentially make 2 million people, who are mostly people of color, have less rights than white citizens. So that is racist.
Okay, so it's racist you come in the country illegally, as you did. You have a moral right to let your relatives come too?
I did not come into the country illegally. Let's get a fact straight. I came to the U.S. on a plane on a tourist visa. So I did not come into this country.
Oh, I thought that you overstayed. I'm sorry, I totally misunderstood your bio.
I did overstay my visa, but I did not come into the country illegally.
Oh, you were here illegally. Okay, so I guess that's what I just said. So you sneak into the country, you bring your child. That child gets citizenship, and now you have a right to citizenship because you're the one who caused this problem, that parent, in the first place, by bringing your child here illegally. But I have to, as a citizen, give you citizenship? How does that work exactly? No, but why should I be for that?
Going back to the point I was making at the beginning of the segment, which is that the reason we are in this situation is because the president ended DACA, and then he tasked Congress with coming up with a solution.
You want to have that debate, but let's talk about.
But now you're
not answering my question.
That Dreamer Lives should pay for the $25 billion wall.
So you're saying if I sneak into someone else's country and bring my child, and the people of that country are kind enough to give that child citizenship, I somehow deserve it too? Because why? Why? It's a simple question. Why don't you give me a simple answer?
I'm going to tell you why. Reason why is because if these people become United States citizens, as they would under this plan, they should have the rights of as every other American citizen has. Why should this person, if we're making them citizens, why should they have less rights?
Because you came illegally, that's why, and we don't want to reward that behavior.
Then they should have the same rights as every other United States citizen.
Let me ask you really quick. So the ACLU described this as the supposed generosity, giving citizenship to people who are here illegally. Do you think it's generous of the United States to give citizenship to people who came here illegally? Do you think it's generous?
I think that we are trying to talk about two different things.
No, we're trying to talk about. I'm asking you a simple question. Do you think it's generous to give people who are here illegally citizenship?
I don't think that it's generous to separate families and create second-class citizens. No, I don't.
I don't know why we would bring in people who are not grateful for the privilege of being an American citizen. You're dead.
What part of law sounds optional to these people?
I have this issue where I find almost no men attractive. Like, it's really, really annoying because I speak to a lot of men, right? I'm very social. I love to talk. I find almost no one attractive. So, like, there's just, like, it just doesn't go anywhere, like, ever. I get asked on dates, I'm like, no, pass. And then when I do find someone attractive, I'm like, I'm obsessed with you. I need you. If I don't have you, I'm gonna feel unwell. Like, I need them because it's so rare at this point that it like makes it extremely difficult. Or like even if they are attractive, like even if like, yeah, you're a pretty face, I just don't care to speak to them. Like if I want to speak to someone, I will non-stop be thinking about like texting them or having a conversation with them. But it's so rare. Like it's so rare, and I just want to have a cute little fun crush and like whatever, but I can't even have a crush anymore because I'm just like, boring, like not interested, no desire for it. I need to like go to the gym.
It's always the mid-5s.
I'll be talking about my unsuccessful top surgery. I should have done this yesterday, but you know, hindsight. Don't want to see that. Get the f*** out of here. But yeah, these are my results. Not what I wanted, not what I asked for, not even the type of surgery that I asked for. I asked for T-anchor. I do not have that surgery stitch. So yeah, something went wrong. And I just like to talk about it every once in a while. I don't have nearly any means to be able to get the revision, especially since I do not trust the surgeon to touch me again. But anyways, essentially what happened with my surgery is that I got surgery in 2020, which is hectic enough. But I went through my insurance, and very little people took my insurance, and I also don't trust men, so I went with a girl, and yeah, it just did not go well for me. Oops. And it's definitely something that I've had to, like, work through and, like, mentally cope with over the years, and it's not something easily copable, because it genuinely was a nightmare to wake up and still have a chest, because I actually got to see my chest right away, and even right away I was like, hey, this doesn't look right, but, you know, I had to wait until I was more healed for that to be addressed, but even then I was like, I don't trust you. You told my partner I was flat. You told me that you would follow, you know, I wanted T-anchor, I wanted to be as flat as possible, but no, they just gave me a reduction and a little bit of masculinization, and that's not what I wanted. So, just letting you know that, like, it's not the end of the world to get a botched top surgery. You can go back and get another one, although it sucks if you don't get the revision from the surgeon, who usually they offer free revisions, because it's very common for things to not be exactly the way you want them to be the first time around. However, this is unacceptable, in my opinion. This is crazy. I didn't want anything like this, and so it's something I have to live with. And, you know, might as well use it to educate people and to let them learn from my mistakes.
Don't trust men, but she wants to be one. LOL.
I'm transgender.
Like, why do I have to pretend this is
I'm born and raised here in New Mexico. I have a graduate degree in information technology, marketing, business, and finance. I own my own home. I pay taxes. I have a 6-figure job. I'm a respected professional in Albuquerque. I'm a mother.
What?
How?
The world's practically overflowing with certified clowns. I feel her sighs.
In the West, they got a movement called wokeness, where you are super sensitive about other people's issues, and you become hypersensitive when other people somehow or others say things or mention things or refer to you without the respect which you or your super subgroup feel you are entitled to. It leads to very extreme attitudes and social norms, particularly in some academic institutions, universities. You talk about safe spaces, you talk about appropriate pronouns, you talk about how I'm about to say something which may be offensive to you. If you don't want to hear it, perhaps you'd like to leave now. And life becomes very burdensome. And I don't think we want to go in that direction. It does not make us a more resilient, cohesive society with a strong sense of solidarity. We must be more.
Bravo, give this man the presidency. He is wise.
All the white, cisgendered, heterosexual people in the room, don't speak at all during this meeting. You've had your time for long enough. You know, history has favored you. Just be quiet. And I went, that doesn't sound right. And I looked around the room that I was in, and people were nodding and agreeing, some even smiling for what she just said. And that night I went home to my white family, my conservative white grandparents who had taken care of me my entire life, made sure I went to school, made sure I had a job, made sure I got scholarships. And I thought, doesn't quite make sense to hold these two beliefs in my brain that white people are inherently racist while I have this family that's taking care of me.
The modern twist on free speech is, you're totally free to speak as long as your opinion comes pre-approved by the cult.
Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
James Jackson, Sacramento, he, him.
Brian Laverne, he, him.
Hi, I am Andy P. From Los Angeles, they, them pronouns.
Thank you, Chair. Nick, he, him, his from Twin Cities. James Jackson, Sacramento, DSA, he, him.
Hi, my name is Onlin Wang. I use he, him.
This is Chris, he, him from Cleveland. This is Daniel Ray from Piedmont, he, him pronouns.
My name is Trey. I use they.
Based on that small collection of intellectuals, question for you fine viewers. Who wouldn't love to go to the conference and just be a fly on the wall? Watch the infightings, the pronouns, how they change. And then for this poor lady here, shim, her, whatever, she has to deal with it. It'd be like herding cats.
I am a walking contradiction here, but never really present.
Can someone please explain to me why Kristen Bell is getting canceled for this dinner? This is the problem with woke culture when it's not done right. People are calling them out because there's no diversity in the photo. As far as I know, it's a friends gathering. As a woman of color, as a Latina, sometimes I have a big hangout with all my Latina girlfriends or all my Latina friends or my family. Nobody is calling people out for just hanging out with their group of people. That's okay. If you start calling out people for doing nothing wrong, it takes away from people that are actually trying to do good work in the space of DEI.
She's spot on. At this rate, even my cereal's too woke to be considered acceptable.
Can you identify as a black person?
No,
Why?
because I'm not black.
I'm not a woman, but I can identify as a woman according to you.
If you transition, maybe.
What defines a transition?
If that's your goal, you know?
If you believe you're black, why aren't you black?
Well, that's just not, that's like genetics. That's like ancestry.
You're also born a man or a woman. It's the same thing. That's also genetics.
Okay, I'm over it.
Let me just say, I'm over it is just code for I can't compute.
We took LGB and then we added LGBTQIA+++, and then we included men who dress up like women and mock women. It's okay if you're proud of your sexuality, but why do I have to be proud of your sexuality?
Why are you so triggered by a flag?
I'll tell
It's
you
a
what
rainbow
problem.
flag.
I'm not triggered by a rainbow flag. I'm triggered by the fact that everywhere I go for a calendar month, everything has to be a rainbow flag.
Well, I'm triggered that everywhere I go for the entire year, everything has to be straight. Why is straight
Where's
everywhere?
my straight flag?
Why am I constantly
Where is
going
my
straight?
straight flag? When have you ever seen a straight flag? Where's my straight flag?
It's everywhere.
It's never been a straight flag.
Both of you are straight, and you're saying you're exhausted.
How do you know I'm straight? How dare you guess my sexuality?
Let's not play games here.
How many letters are there now in the
That's
official?
such a pointless question.
Well, how many are there?
I don't even know.
How many are there?
I don't need
exactly
to know.
my point.
I don't need to know because it's not about
There
the
are so
letters.
many letters now, we can't keep up with.
Modern pride feels less like a celebration and more like mandatory participation.
Life begins when you understand living women matter more than potential babies.
What is it?
What do you mean?
If it's a potential baby, what is inside of a woman?
It's a fetus?
Is it living?
No.
How can it grow if it's not living?
Actually, that's like saying if an acorn is a tree.
When does the fetus become living?
That's actually a good question, but that line...
Yeah, of course, because you don't know it, because it's living. It's living. When does this clump of cells or fetus become living?
When it can sustain its own life.
But when is the sustainability? My newborns aren't sustainable. You can't just have a newborn and they just like live on their own, right?
Right.
Too bad logic wasn't on the poster.
I am so tired of talking about woke culture because one of the tenets of wokeness is, of course, that your feelings matter more than the truth. And the only thing that wokeness has to offer in exchange is to brainwash bright young minds like you to believe that you are victims. We are told that your generation cares more than any other about one issue in particular, and that issue is climate change. I will join you in worshipping at the feet of St. Greta of climate change. This country is responsible for 2% of global carbon emissions, which means that if Britain was to sink into the sea right now, it would make absolutely no difference to the issue of climate change. You know why? Because the future of the climate is going to be decided in Asia and in Latin America by poor people who couldn't give a shit about saving the planet. A third of all children who live in extreme poverty in the world live in India.
So your feelings are supposed to override facts now? That's not empathy, that's emotional dictatorship.
Story time on how politics ruined my last relationship. So let me set the scene for you. I was dating this guy. We've been dating for 5 months. And in those 5 months, I was told by my friends, Zoe, he lives in Indiana. He's a Republican. I was like, politics don't matter to me. Boy, was I wrong. And so I was like, it's fine. I don't care. I'm gonna get to know him first. We'll decide later. So then, we kind of start talking about it. I'm a very liberal woman. So I am obviously like very much, everyone knows that I'm a liberal woman. My brother's gay. All my friends are gay. Also like abortion rights, female rights. But anyways, so I would like always ask him, I'd be like, what's your politics? Like, where do you lean? And he was just like, well, like socially, I'm a liberal, but economically, I'm a Republican. Also, he was a 28-year-old man. That's the first red flag, because if there's a 28-year-old man and he's single, there's a reason that he's single. But anyways, so then I'm like, well, like what makes you, economically Republican? Because like I could give you a whole bunch of facts right now that prove that you shouldn't be. And he was like, all of his info is from his friends. And I was like, you get all your information from your redneck friends. Obviously, you can't trust them. You need to do the research yourself. And if you do the research, I told him, I was like, I'll support you based on your decision if you actually research it yourself. Like, I won't care if you're a Republican. But anyways, and so he was like, Zoe, I have much better things to do than research politics. Like, I have way more important things to do. Ah! Okay, saying that to me is absolutely insane, but go off, King. I also just didn't care at that point. And so I kind of put it on the back burner. I was like, I can't take this right now. Well, then we get into a little spat a couple days before election day, and we almost broke up. And so I was like, nah, it's fine, I'll give him one more chance, blah, 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 blah. Well, then election day rolls around, and, well, actually, before this, he was not registered to vote. He had never voted before, and he told me that he wanted to vote in this election, and I was like, okay, cool, do the research, but that's a whole other thing. And so the voter registration deadline was approaching. I could tell he was going to vote against me, let's just say it like that. And so I was like, he is not gonna make an educated decision on who he votes for, so guess what? I'm not gonna remind him of this voter registration deadline. So then it passed. He didn't register to vote, so there we go. It was saved. He wasn't gonna vote. I wouldn't have to deal with it then. But then we got into that little spat, and I was like, let me try one more time. Let me see if he's learned anything from me. And I asked him point blank on election day, I'm like, so who would you have voted for if you would have voted in this election? He was like, I would have voted independent. And I was like, do you know that how harmful and basically wasteful that is? And also, like, check your privilege by saying you're gonna vote independently. And he was like, wow, Zoe, I cannot believe that you think my vote would have been a waste. Because it is a waste. Look at Philadelphia. All those independent voters could have put us over the edge and could have helped Kamala win. That's another story. And so I was like trying to tell him, I was like, listen, that's harmful. You have to make a decision because the way that our voting works, like the two-party system, is a joke. You have to pick a side. The independent party never has a chance. So you have to pick a side. And we got into a huge argument about it. And I was like, you know what? This is my last straw. Again, I'm a very liberal woman. I have to date someone that is on the same page as me because I can't disagree with someone on something that is so important to me for the rest of my life. I fully respect Republicans. I understand that you want to vote that way, but for me, I don't want to marry you and I don't want to date you. So we ended it. And no regrets. I've been single ever since. It was awesome. It's been awesome.
When she's 40 and reeks of cats and sadness, this video will come back to haunt her.
Sophia, my pronouns are she, her, and I am a transgender lesbian. A lesbian, of course, is a woman who dates other women, so I, as a transgender woman, only date women. The most common response I get to this is, well, why would you transition if you're still just gonna date women? But that's where we need to understand that sexuality and gender are very different. Gender and gender expression are about who you are and how you present yourself, whereas your sexuality is who you love. And those two things have nothing to do with each other. So be who you are, love who you love, but most importantly, love yourself.
Come on, Sophia. We are bit calling you a she.
Do you know what the leading cause of death for pregnant people is?
Pregnant people?
If you'd like to call them mothers, not all of them are mothers, but if you'd like to call them that.
What are they if they're not mothers?
They're pregnant people.
What people other than mothers are pregnant?
It only takes a couple extra syllables to include people who don't, identify as women but can become pregnant.
Then in order to be a moral person, I need to accept the idea that a man can really become a woman. That's a prerequisite of my being a moral person.
I mean, yes.
I would like to identify, I do identify actually, as the correct person on this issue. I identify as being correct and more correct than you on this issue. And I would just ask that you accept and affirm my identity. Do you?
Well, you are not a medical professional, and abortion and pregnancy is a medical concern. That's not your identity.
That is my identity. I promise you, that's my identity.
If stupidity were a person, it'd be this lady. She's completely delusional and acting like she's the voice of reason.
Candace Owens just exposed her woke audience's hypocrisy.
Over here shouting and booing the officer. That's a black officer in the back right there. Are you aware that there are black officers in the world? In District 11 in Chicago, which I went to go visit and speak to those cops, they are all black. When you launch a war on cops, you are launching a war on black men as well. I'm so ashamed of the way you guys are acting and the fact that you love being oppressed. Victim mentality is not cool. We're oppressed. 400 years of slavery, Jim Crow, which, by the way, none of you guys lived through. Your grandparents didn't. It's embarrassing that you utilize their history and you come in here with more emotion than they ever had when they were living through it. It's embarrassing. You're not living through anything right now.
Love Candace Owens. She gave him a masterclass in calm destruction. That's what we call a mic drop with historical context.
When these clueless students tried to cancel Charlie, did not expect him to turn the tables and expose their hypocrisy.
Hold on a second. Do you support black-only dormitories? That's resegregation. You realize that?
No, I think if black people want to do that, we should allow them to because they have to pay some.
Well, then would you support white-only dormitories?
No.
Why?
Because they're pretty much as school is white only.
So you believe in black-only graduation ceremonies at Harvard?
If they want that, sure. So what does it mean?
Well, it should you that we're resegregating parts of the population.
There's a difference.
What's the difference of skin color? What's the difference between a white person and a black person?
Tell you.
Tell me what's the difference between a white person and a black person.
No.
There's no difference. They're both human beings. There's only one race, the human race. Think I'm a racist?
Yeah.
Are you a racist? Hold on a second. He thinks I'm a racist. Why would you say I'm a racist?
This is the stuff you're saying.
Name one thing I've said that's ever racist.
Whatever. I'm not going to play that game with you.
Wow, this guy showed up looking like a backup dancer for Marx, called someone else racist, and then bailed the second things got inconvenient.
EM, errs, z's, zers, or really any male pronouns that aren't z-hers. I am a white, trans-masculine, femme, non-binary, temporarily, mostly able-bodied, neurodivergent, obsessive-compulsive, chronically ill, culturally Jewish, Unitarian Universalist, non-monogamous, demi-low romantic, gray demographic.
Yo, chill, we got it, you got a lot.
Trauma, millennial, and cat parent, and mental health parent. What do you think is the number one contributing factor to global warming?
Why are you dancing? What's the dancing for?
The fashion industry?
Something else?
I'll tell you a secret. It's the U.S. military.
I'm wearing the pants. He's wearing the skirt. We're both gay. He's pregnant. I have 2 girlfriends.
Yo, what is your life?
Hello, lovelies. I just want to talk about people this.
They list off every identity label like it's a personality buffet.
The Mason of the U.S. Army. I operate your nation's missile defense systems, but more importantly, my pronouns are she and her, and I am a woman of color.
Hey, quit screaming.
Lastly, if you care about our democracy, you will sign up right now.
Did he say woman of color?
You're afraid of Trump? You should see how afraid of Trump I am.
Can you wrap up, please?
I'm shaking right now. I don't want to be here. I'm sorry, am I taking too long pleading for my life?
I speak as both the B and the T in the LGBT.
I do not want to be here. It's my day off. I do not want to be in your DMs. I do not want to be in your email inboxes. I do not want my creativity writing diss tracks like Kendrick. I don't want to spend an hour applying glitter on my face so that you will hear and see me. I want you to listen to me.
And I have narcolepsy and I couldn't drive myself here, so I had to hide from my driver that I was in drag, which is not an easy thing to do in.
There was just so much going on, honestly.
You're broken down and tired of hearing all the news that's going around, and you can't find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out and move mountain. We gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day, I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid, I'll rise up, and you'll do it 1,000 times again.
Pulled over and cried today because of all the scary news out there right now and felt like we all needed this song. Lady, please just drive away.
I have a fairy who lives in my kitchen. His name is Cinnamon, and here are a couple absolute bangers he has dropped on me in our conversations over the last couple months. Good night, Cinnamon. Good night, not Cinnamon. That's not my name. I know. Do you want to know my name? Nope. Yes, he has an accent. Can I emulate it? No, I cannot. It's like a Cockney mixed with Australian. It's a thing. When I asked him about it, he said, I get around. I was like, and now you live in my kitchen? Yes, I do. Okay. Here's another one. All right, Cinnamon, hey, I will give you a little offering of this after I get this done, and I just want to make sure I don't forget to do this. That's all right. It's just your fairy brain. My what? Your fairy brain. What does that mean? It means your brain works like a fairy instead of a person. It was a Tuesday. Apparently, neurodivergent people have fairy brains. According to Cinnamon, here's another one. How do you like the new house, Cinnamon? I'm so glad you moved with her. It's great. There's no more of the shin here. What are shin? They're little fairies that ride on the back of mice. They're just as annoying to me as the mice are to you. We live near a meadow, and we had like literal holes in the wall of our house because they're renting. It was a whole renting situation. It was bad. But he was right. I had no idea about the fairies on the back of mice thing, though, or that they had a name. Like, some of the craziest, wisest things I've ever heard from Spirit has just dropped by my kitchen fairy at like 2 a.m.
Okay, call the doctors and tell them to bring a straitjacket. Well, that is a wrap, people. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See you in the next one.